Hey everyone! So basically I'm hoping to make lots of little videos over the upcoming months on my personal systems as I upgrade and work on them, and thought that the best way to start would be with a quick look at where I am with my systems right now, so that's what this video is just going to be. So up until very recently I had a combined workstation and gaming PC, just a single system that I did everything on. But then, as I was putting together a little PC for a memory video that I'm working on, I was actually like, this is kind of a cute build. I think that I want to make it my dedicated gaming rig, which is what I've done. It's in a Cooler Master H500p mesh white case, and I have to say this is probably the best case I've ever used. It's not perfect, but I still really like it, and I'm hoping to do a lot with it in the future. So this system is running a first gen Ryzen 7 1700 CPU, which is overclocked to 3.9 GHz at 1.35-ish volts, and that's on an X470 Aorus Gaming 7 motherboard. I know X470 with a 1700 is a little odd, but I don't actually own any Zen Plus CPUs. So the cooler is a Cooler Master ML240R, which I do think is a great cooler in regards to how well it cools, but I do really think that it could use some work in terms of its lighting implementation. It's using 32GB of T-Force Xcalibur Totem Design RGB memory, which just looks amazing. This is a 3600MHz kit, which I'll hopefully be able to take advantage of as this system gets upgraded, as currently it's only running at 2400MHz, which just feels wrong. So I'm using a Bitfenix Whisper power supply and Alchemy 2.0 individually sleeved cables. I originally got these cables for a black and red theme build in a different case, so obviously they don't really fit this build, but I am hoping to get some black and white ones at some point. I think that will look really nice. I then have a 250GB SSD for the OS and a 500GB SSD for games. And finally the GPU, which is a Strix GTX 970. Now whilst the 970 wouldn't be so bad for 1080p gaming, I game in 4K and have done for at least 3 years now. And as you can imagine, a GTX 970 really struggles with 4K, even on lower settings and with low frame rate targets. And I'm just not going back to 1080p because for me it's just a headachy blur. So I think it's fair to say that I'm in desperate need of an upgrade. So that's the first thing on my upgrade list. So next I have my workstation. This is an X99 based system using the Asus Strix X99 motherboard and an Intel i7 6900K. That's an 8-core 16-thread CPU. So it still holds its own against a Ryzen 2700X for example, but it is definitely falling behind what the current high-end desktop platforms are capable of. I'm using a Noctua NHD15 for cooling, 32GB of G.Skill Trident Z memory, a 250GB Samsung 960 EVO NVMe SSD for the OS, and 1TB of additional SSD storage, as well as a Strix GTX 970 for the GPU. So some of the parts here are quite dated. The power supply, for example, is one of the oldest parts I own. It's an original Corsair AX750, which is around 7 or 8 years old, and the case is a Corsair 450D, which is almost 5 years old. My plan for my workstation is hopefully to do a completely new build at some point, as soon as physically possible really. I'd love to be on Threadripper and have 32 cores, that would be amazing. But honestly, my future workstation is really reliant on manufacturer support because until I can get back to making a significant amount of videos, it doesn't make sense for me to invest money into this system to improve video render times, when that money would be much better spent on the garage or on studio equipment, etc. And then lastly I have my file server. This is built in the Lianli PCV650, which you'll have a hard time finding since it's 6 years old. Which is a shame as there isn't many cases that can fit what it does whilst being this small and looking this good. It's currently holding 20TB plus an SSD for the OS and a hotspot bay in the front for managing cold storage. This is using an Asus Maximus 6 Formula motherboard, an i7 4770K and 16GB of Corsair Vengeance Pro DDR3 memory, which whilst being a bit dated now is still overkill for my needs. All the cooling is Noctua and the power supply is the Bitfenix Fury, which works really well with its individually sleeved cables. I don't really have any future plans here at the moment. I mean, sure there's lots of upgrades I could do, especially with drive capacity, but my gaming PC is my main priority right now. But yeah, so that was just my 3 PCs, so please let me know in the comments below what you think of them, and also feel free to share with me your own system specs and any upgrades that you're planning on making. So if you like this video, then please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more of my videos, or perhaps consider becoming a patron. And thank you for watching.